Hi, everybody. Welcome to week 3. So, as you know, this week our topic is anatomy and physiology of pregnancy. We'll be covering the placental anatomy and physiology, embryonic and fetal development, and also principles of teratology. So, as far as general information goes, there's a lot of information in this week's module. Hopefully, it'll be an in-depth review of stuff that you've already learned, like in nursing school, and it'll be you'll be remembering what you've learned before. But for some of us, I know that's a long time ago, so it's almost like relearning it. So, hopefully you'll find it interesting, as the physiology of pregnancy is really important to understand as we think about and talk about things that can go wrong during pregnancy, and also reasons why we treat things we treat and the underlying physiology for a lot of the things that we see when we're practicing clinically. So, information about anatomy and physiology, as you'll remember, is part of the core competencies for your knowledge on boards. It's essential to understand this information. Also, it's really important to let the mom know what's going on with her body so that she can be an expert about what's happening. And a lot of the time, you'll have questions from women who are either trying to get pregnant, who want to be pregnant, and who are, wondering how they do that or what's really happening. So, things to think about as you study. Because there's a lot of information, I try to come up with a way to help you to study better and easier. So each module begins with some limited lecture material. There's a Camtasia in Unit B and an online video lecture from the internet, and also I think a voiceover PowerPoint in Module C. There are numerous YouTube videos in the learning folder, and so the learning activities folder, so you may find those helpful to watch. And also, we will be discussing the topics during our open office sessions. We may actually need to schedule additional open office sessions if y'all come with questions, but tomorrow at I believe noon Eastern is our next open office session. So we'll be talking about content from Module A during that time. Or Unit A, sorry. I recommend you first start by downloading the learning guide, and some people find it helpful to print it out. It should be labeled so you can kind of keep track. So essentially, if you print the learning guide, review whatever lecture material there is, then read the text from the Jordan book, the textbook, because that serves as a really good introduction, and then move on to the Blackburn book where things are discussed in more detail, and use the learning guide to help you know what you need to focus on, because you aren't going to need to focus on every little chemical reaction or every little hormone that's involved with every little thing. And so the learning guide helps you to isolate the important points that you need to understand. We'll also talk about that during the open office lectures as well. So Blackburn is definitely more in-depth about what we're studying, and Jordan serves as a really good introduction. So we've posted case studies for discussion, some from module from the information about the physiology, and so you'll find those in the module forums. Also, I think you'll find it helpful to participate in those forum discussions. It'll help you to have some application practice for the content that we talk about, as well as also to isolate some of the information that you can ask questions about if you have anything that comes up. So don't forget to be there in the forums. As far as learning activities, your modules 1 and 2 learning assessment activities are due by this Sunday at 11:55 or so p.m. Eastern, when the exam closes. The exam is open at this point and will stay open until Sunday night at around midnight. So you have all weekend. Remember to check with your IT people to make sure that they're on schedule to be there when you take your exams. Also, remember, when it comes to your learning assessment activities, you may do 1 per module, and you must do a total of 5 of those during the course of the term. You can pick which 5 you do, but only 1 per module. You'll see that there is a rubric that's used, and so you'll be able to see the rubric. And also, if you go to your reports menu, you should be able to see any comments that were given to you on those papers. And if you have questions, you can contact Dr. McDaniel with those questions about the learning assessment activities. So if you decided not to complete a learning assessment activity for Module 1 or 2, you can still access those assignments of your friends or your colleagues and classmates. So all you need to do is put viewing only in the subject line, and then when you post viewing only to that forum, it'll open up the forum so that you can see the other assignments that were done by your classmates and use those as study materials or helpful practice things to put in your brain for when you get to clinicals, those kinds of things. So as far as module readings, you should be through Module 2 at this point for sure. Be into Module 3. For your reference, in Module 3, there are about 33 pages of assigned readings. There's 33 for Module A, 15 for Module B, and 13 for Module C. So you want to be sure to plan accordingly so you have enough time, because they're mostly physiology and Blackburn. So remember, start with the lecture, make sure you have the learning guide questions available, go to Jordan, and then start digging into Blackboard. Now, exam is open, like I said now, so please be really aware, review the requirements for exams with a remote proctor, be sure that you follow the guidelines. It's really wonderful when we have no exam violations, and it does happen. So please, the biggest things that people do are probably moving or not showing their whiteboard at the beginning and end. So that's something especially to remember. Make sure your device is where it's supposed to be, make sure that there's no one in the room, make sure that you are, don't have stuff on your walls, all of those kinds of things. And you guys should, I know all this by now. So it's just great if we don't have any exam violations to deal with. So please remember that when you're taking your exam. And also remember that you need to do it when IT is there, because even though the exam is open, IT may not be there, in which case it's probably not your best choice to take the exam at that point. BBC times again tomorrow, noon Eastern. We will be doing, we'll talk about Module 3, especially Unit A at that point, and we will be having some guided review of that content, just as kind of topical review and the major points. So you can always post questions you have if you're not able to be there in the forum, or email them directly to me and we'll be sure we talk about them. And if you aren't able to be there, you can always attend later by simply listening to the video, and then if you have questions after that, you can post them in the forum. So I hope you all enjoyed having Monday off. I apologize this wasn't posted sooner. I was without internet today because we had to change out a modem in my house. So it's late, and I'm really sorry you didn't get this earlier, but hopefully it'll still be helpful. And hopefully you did have at least a little bit of time to reflect and think this weekend and enjoy some downtime. So please, again, post any questions or comments you have in the forum. We're always here, and we look forward to seeing you. Thanks.